REC Experience presents Real Estate, Entrepreneurship, Leadership with your host, Takhar. The REC Experience podcast is now on air.
Hey, thanks for being in the REC Experience. I'm your host, Takhar, with your girl, Laura Stewart.
I feel you're a little sluggish there.
Oh, I was. It just
too much turkey.
It's a lot of
over
turkey.
The weekend.
A lot of turkey. We just got past our Canadian Thanksgiving, and there was a lot of turkey. But you actually had way more turkey than I did.
Yes, because due to COVID, I didn't see any family, and so my husband and I had turkey for 6, but just for the 2 of us. So
you had turkey for breakfast.
I had it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, our guest today is joining us not in Canada. He's I believe, in the States right now. It is the legend himself, Mr. Michael Gerber. How are you doing today, Michael?
Well, I'm great. And how are you? Yes, I am in the United States.
And where are you exactly?
And we're in Carlsbad, California.
Nice. And so how are you holding up, your family, your friends, your colleagues through this lockdown?
Well, we're all holding up fine. Some better than others. Some are just doing magically well. But every single one of us are dealing with this inordinately impossible to predict pandemic that effectively, obviously, has affected all of our businesses, every single one.
Now, Michael, I mean, you've been studying businesses for such a long time. You're obviously, as I mentioned a second ago, a living legend about with systems and all things, working on your business rather than only working in your business. What's kind of what have you been telling people really around the world as you've been very kind with your time of late, getting on podcasts and doing videos? What are you telling people how to navigate through a pandemic like this from a business perspective?
Well, you've got to understand and put this into context. And this might sound weird, but hear it in exactly the way that I'm saying it. Last year, that's 2019, there are roughly 500,000 small businesses that failed. That means went out of business. That was before the pandemic. To understand, every year in your country and mine and throughout the world, small businesses fail with such alarming regularity that to even think in terms of the pandemic and to suggest that the pandemic is the problem that we have to deal with is absurd. Indeed, I've been talking about a pandemic ever since I started my EMyth evolution.
I love it.
That pandemic is the pandemic of we're just plain stupid. Now, hear me. It's a horrible thing to say, but if you go to the new documentary by David Attenborough, Life on the Planet, and he talks about his lifetime. He just completed that, and it was just launched, this new documentary. He's 94 years of age. And he describes our world over those 94 years. And if you go to Life on the Planet, David Attenborough's plea, you're going to come face to face with how outrageous we are. And understand, when I say how outrageous we are, we're destroying the planet. He demonstrates exactly how we're destroying our planet, our world. He shows our world in space. In fact, in this past, 50 years, it's the first we've actually been able to see our globe, our planet, our world in space. since we went out to space and can now look back? Well, you suddenly come face to face with, we're all alone here in the universe. And the minute you look at this globe in the universe, it puts things into a context we're incapable of thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying is, it's the context of this conversation that is so critical. I'm 84, and having been pursuing this story, this EMyth story, now for 45 years since I originated it. The resistance in your industry, in every industry, to the conversation that we're sort of having right now is astonishing.
Where does that resistance come from, Michael? Because I know you spent
I said we're just plain stupid. Okay, hear me. And I say that because somebody has to slap us around the head and shoulders. You understand? We are so asleep, literally asleep, living in a fog. If we look at the real estate industry, we're living in a fog. 97% of real estate agents fail. 97% of real estate agents fail. Now, what in the world does that say about the real estate industry?
It doesn't take much to get into the industry.
Well, it doesn't take much to get in. It doesn't take much to get out of it. You just have to be stupid in either way.
You like to make a point where you distinguish between a business owner and a true entrepreneur. Do you think that has something to do with it?
I think there's so much that has to do with it. I think there's so much that has to do with it. What you need to be saying to your folks, the folks you're reaching out to, is you need to say, as I've been saying for now close to 50 years, stop. Just stop in your tracks. Stop. Let's take a look at where we are. Not where you are right now, because it's impossible for you right now, you, a new real estate agent, you, a real estate agent who's been in the business for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you, a real estate agent who's been in the business perhaps all of your life. Just stop for the moment. Stop for the moment and let's take a broader view so we can better look at exactly what's true about our condition. And if we can begin to look at what's really true about our condition, just as life on the planet, it's what's true about our condition. Now, he's talking about the entire world's condition. He's talking about when he was born, there were 2.5 billion people on the planet. And today there are over 8 billion people on the planet. He's talking about that 46% of the total wild life on our community has been eradicated in his lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of this century, if we persist in doing what we're doing, how we're doing it, it will be gone. Hear me.
Yeah.
It will be gone. Forget about real estate.
Well, I give up.
It'll be gone. So then what do we have to do? We have to sit down and have a new conversation. So the new conversation is, strangely, is the conversation I've been having with, in quotes, real estate agents, chiropractors, heart surgeons, anyone and everyone who is in business, that means they have an economic life, and ask them to look at their economic life differently than they're accustomed to. And so anybody who's listening to us right now, every single one of you who are listening to us right now, I'm simply saying you have to start all over again and to look at the truth of what is, not at the fantasy of what is. Not for the purposes of motivating yourself, but for the purpose of seeing the truth face on. Now, if we could look at the truth based on and understand the truth isn't my truth. It isn't my truth. It isn't his truth. It isn't her truth. It's the truth. The minute you're able to look at the truth and to begin to see it in its entirety, you suddenly can look at your truth and understand the work that is really here for each and every one of us to do.
Let's talk about the truth a little bit more. Let's go a little bit more in depth into that. Okay. Because I think people who are listening right now have been avid followers of yourself and readers, and they want to get into that head a little bit more. So let's elaborate a little bit on what you see as the truth right now.
Well, I'm going to say to all of you avid followers of myself, you're not following enough. So here, many millions upon millions of people have read my books.
Right.
It's not just the EMyth Revisited, it's EMyth Mastery, it's the EMyth Chiropractor, it's on and on and on and on and on and on, all my books. But it isn't enough to read my books. One of my co-authors who co-authored the EMyth HVAC Contractor tells me the story about how he came face to face with EMyth Revisited and the profound impact it had on his life. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but the simple story was over the period of these years, since he started doing the EMyth as it's described in my one book, the EMyth Revisited, he's read the EMyth Revisited 39 times. Now hear me, that might sound like when I say it's not my truth, it's our truth, that I'm belying that fact. This is not about me. Hear me, it's just not about me. Anybody who's listened to me, anybody who's read me knows this is not about me. This is not Michael's ego. Just like it's not Attenborough's ego. It's about the fact of it. And the fact of it is, until one goes to work on their business, and the way that I define it, and the way that I describe it, step one, step two, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Until one does that, one hasn't a hope of succeeding at business, whether it be real estate, chiropractic, landscape design, contracting, home building, doesn't matter what kind of business it is. It's irrelevant what kind of business it is. But what's critical? Process. So I call it the eightfold path. Write that down, the eightfold path. The eightfold path, going from a company of one, a real estate agent, to a company of 1,000. Now hear me, every real estate agent might say, I don't want 1,000. I say, I don't care whether
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. You're talking to somebody that does. And so
you've got it. So follow this. It's an eightfold path. Step one in the path is called your dream. Step two is called your vision. Step three is called your purpose. And step four is called your mission. I have a dream. I have a vision. I have a purpose. I have a mission. Now go to Radical U. That's our university online, and enter the system. And the very first thing we'll do together in year one of Radical U is discover your dream, your vision, your purpose, and your mission. Your dream, your vision, your purpose, and your mission. Without it, forget it. You understand? You got to do the dream before you do the vision. You got to do the vision before you do the purpose, and you got to do the purpose before you do the mission. And that's only the beginning. And then we go to work on your company itself. And that is your job, your practice, your business, your enterprise. So we establish your dream, your vision, your purpose, and your mission. That's the platform for growing your company. It's the evolution of an enterprise I'm talking about. So the platform for growing any company. You can see these books here. Do you see them over here?
Yep.
These are just some of the vertical markets that I've written books for. The EMyth chiropractor, the EMyth real estate investor, the EMyth financial advisor, the EMyth landscape contractor, the EMyth optometrist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's just some of them.
Now, Michael, let's start back with the dream, because I mean, all this seems easy enough to write all these things down. Do you think that is it a lack of clarity people have on their dream?
No, wait a second.
Step one?
Wait a second. You say
I'm getting
easy
ahead of
enough.
myself.
You said easy enough, write them down. It ain't write them down. It's live them. When Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, I have a dream, go online, look up Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his I have a dream speech.
Mm-hmm.
Watch that speech. Watch it once, watch it twice, watch it 3 times, watch it 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 15 times, 36 times, until the point is you suddenly come face to face with the fact he was killed because of his dream. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They shot him. That's a dream.
Yeah, it's almost as if people don't dream big enough. They don't,
They
they'll
don't
say,
dream.
I want a company of 5 people, but what's your purpose? What's your why for doing it? Because that's really what's going to drive you every day.
Well, let me describe the dream. Let me describe the dream, the vision, the purpose, and the mission. And you can find all this in this book, Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. How ordinary people can create extraordinary companies without any experience to guide them. Awakening the Entrepreneur Within is the story of the dreaming room. And I created the dreaming room to help people to discover their dream, their vision, their purpose, and their mission. The dream is the great result you intend to produce. Write that down. The dream is the great result I intend to produce. When I'm finally done, this is the great result I intend to produce. My great result was to transform the state of small business worldwide. To transform the state of small business worldwide. That was the great result. That was my dream in 1977 when I started this. Hear me, 1977 when I started this. Okay, so I'm an old guy. I've been doing this a long time.
And with the energy you bring, you would never be able to tell my man.
So my dream, my vision, what's my vision? My vision was to invent the McDonald's of small business consulting service. I had a dream. Now I had a vision for how to realize the dream, the form my dream was going to take in the business I was going to create. My vision was to invent the McDonald's of small business consulting services. You got that? You understand the dream. Now I got a dream. Now I got a vision. My purpose was that every single small business owner who's attracted to my paradigm, to my point of view, could be at least as successful as a McDonald's franchisee. Now hear me. If that means every single real estate agent, every single person who becomes a real estate agent could be as successful as Brad Korn selling 100 homes a year. Hear me. Fewer than 3% of all real estate agents in Canada and the United States sell 100 homes a year. Fewer than 3%. How extraordinary would it be if, in fact, by learning this system, anyone could literally perform as well as Brad Korn could? That's what I'm saying. That was our purpose. And our mission was to invent the business development system that would make our dream, our vision, and our purpose possible. So when I started out in 1977 with my very first company ever, at the age of 40 years, started out at the age of 40, had never been in business before, wasn't interested in business before I did that. I started out to invent the Michael Thomas Corporation. I was Michael, my partner was Thomas. The Michael Thomas Corporation. And the Michael Thomas Corporation was the first small business coaching company on the planet. Hear me, the very first small business coaching company on the planet. We invented small business coaching. And we did that with a dream, a vision, a purpose, and a mission.
Well, and I love this because it tells all of our listeners and our viewers, like, if you're in your late 30s,
no excuses.
No excuses,
No
right?
excuses.
And it can happen at any time. A lot of people, you'll think, oh, it's too late for me. It was a dream, but it's not. Like, a lot of people get started in business quite later in life.
And we're talking specifically about business, like running and owning. But we also have hundreds upon hundreds of investors, real estate investors that use our service. And we always like to say, we like to say that investing in real estate, you have to think of it like a business. They say it all the time, right, Michael? Anybody in their 70s says, oh, I wish I started when I was 60. And it's somebody in their 60s, I wish I started when I was in my 50s, right? Look, I mean, we all know that the best time to plant a tree was probably 1,000 years ago, but the second best time is now. And so for anybody who's watching and listening, I love it. There you go.
Here's the EMyth Real Estate. Here's the EMyth Real Estate Investor.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that book? Tell our listeners about that book.
Of course. My co-author of this book is Than Merrill.
Okay. I know the name.
Than Merrill is one of the most successful real estate investment companies teaching people how to invest in real estate in your country and mine.
Yep.
And he's a co-author of this book because the EMyth transformed the way he did what he did as an investor. Think about that. In this book, he tells the story about how that happened.
Now, can you give us a synopsis on that? Like, was it when he was looking at properties, how he was looking at properties, how he was obtaining financing, or is a lot of it, which I think is very important, Michael, is the dream, vision, purpose, and mission?
Hear me. Dream, vision, purpose, and mission. That's the first 4 steps. The next 4 steps are the job, the practice, the business, the enterprise. The job is your client fulfillment system. The practice is your client acquisition system, plus your client fulfillment system creates your franchise prototype. The practice is your franchise prototype. I've been talking about this, your franchise prototype. Whether you're going to franchise it or not, you got to build it exactly the same way McDonald's did. Because if you fail to do that, you will fail to grow. And if you fail to grow, you will fail after all. In short, the practice is your prototype. The minute you build your prototype, your lead generation system, your lead conversion system, your client fulfillment system, your franchise prototype, you can then replicate it to create a business. So hear me with Brad Korn. He is Brad Korn, the real estate agent. Brad Korn is now creating his franchise prototype, and he's going to replicate himself with 7 real estate agents in his little business. So hear this, very, very simple, using the turnkey lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment system that Brad Korn has used successfully as a real estate agent to produce 100 homes a year, every year for 20 freaking years. Think about this. Now you can do the same. Just like McDonald's, now you can do the same. And so
Now,
when
Michael,
I say that, yes, when I say that
this
to
is
you,
music to my ears here because I am the queen of systems. So I appreciate what you're saying because it's made a fundamental difference in our business. It's actually allowed us to grow because without the system, you have no way of giving new people the ability to work with you because you're kind of always flying off the cuff. So the systems have been extremely helpful.
of course, and that's all we've done. Now, when I say that's all we've done, but you got to understand, if there's no dream, no vision, no purpose, no mission, what's the point? You understand? Right. So the system to make money, well, we'll make money. That's fine. Everybody can make money. Sooner or later, you begin to understand it ain't all about making money. It's about making a life. And then you begin to understand that it's not just about making a life for me. It's about making a life for my family. And then you begin to understand it's not just about making a life for my family, it's about making a life for my neighbors. And then you begin to understand it's not just about making a life for, you understand what I'm saying. Then you begin to see this is a worldwide phenomenon. And that to the degree you begin to understand that it's a worldwide phenomenon, you then have to stop and say, I have to follow the process. The process is key. Dream, vision, purpose, mission, job, practice, business, enterprise. And you can see it, and you can feel it, and you can do it, and you can grow it. And you can, and you can, and I can, and he can, and she can, and we can. And suddenly the economic reality of the world is transformed.
I do want you to finish your thought, like just to finish it off. How do you go from business to enterprise? Can you just talk about that next process?
Yes, well, understand the practice is the prototype.
Yeah.
So now we're going to replicate it 7 times. Why 7 times? Because that's the control factor, meaning up to 7. 7 times we can manage up to 7 effectively. That becomes our little franchise. That's our business. But the business needs a management system. So that's where we add a management system to the business. So we can manage those 7 real estate agents working in our company while we're working on our company to transform our company in order to grow our company. And that's a business. Now we're going to replicate the business up to 7 times to create an enterprise. And therein we need a leadership system. So an enterprise has a leadership system, a business has a management system, the practice has an operating system, and you suddenly realize how all of this comes together from an entrepreneurial perspective. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's not just any system, it's our system. When I say our system, I don't mean my system. I mean your system. Your Ray Kroc. That's my point.
Yes.
You're Steve Jobs. You understand? I'm saying that until you get that, until you understand that, until you internalize that, you're just doing it. Busy, and it's all about sales. And if it's just all about sales, it's all about nothing, because you finally say, this ain't any fun anymore.
It's funny you mentioned that, because, and I would be remiss if I didn't even ask you while I have you with us now. Sometimes I'm caught in that, right? Where I'm selling a lot, and it's a lot of connection, relationship based. And I'm trying to showcase and teach and mentor the people around me. What would be like, how can I do that better? Is it just taking 7 people and starting there? and focusing and honing in on the first 7?
Think about the first McDonald's franchise. McDonald's was started in Des Plaines, Illinois by Ray Kroc.
Mm-hmm.
He built the franchise prototype. He worked on it, he worked on it, he worked on it, he worked on it. You understand? In Des Plaines, Illinois. That was his first store. Until he got the prototype done, till he knew exactly how every single part of that little store worked, until he could recruit people, hire people, train people, fire people, until he could do what was necessary for that little store to do what that little store was intended to do, he couldn't grow. But once it was done, then he could send out an ad looking for a franchisee to open store number 2 in Milwaukee. And he could say to the guy in store number 2 in Milwaukee, let me tell you the story of McDonald's. Let me tell you what we do. Let me tell you how we do it. Let me tell you why it works. And let me tell you why, were you to become our franchisee in Milwaukee or Cincinnati or any one of the 37,000 plus places McDonald's lives today, that if you were to become that one, then you'll do it exactly the way we do. Because it's a McDonald's store. And there's only one Big Mac. And there's
I'm
only
a chicken fan.
and there's only one way to do this, our way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Michael, I mentioned earlier that I love systems, and obviously a lot of people want to create systems and grow their business and expand. In doing so, though, I'm sure you hear a number of entrepreneurs say, yeah, but when you grow and you start to systematize things, you start to lose a bit of that culture, a little bit of that creativity that people love in the startup. What's your advice on that?
Well, my advice is very, very simple. You systematize it.
Do it anyway.
You try to systematize it just like you systematize it at Walt Disney, at Disney Enterprises, at Disney Imagineering. In Disney Imagineering, it's a system. You understand it's a system. This is how we invent Disney World. Here's how we put it in Singapore. Here's how we put it in et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the system. This is the system. This is the system. It doesn't become less creative. It becomes continually creative. It's got to finish the stuff. Meaning they got to pay their nickel and go on the ride. You got to build the freaking ride. The ride's got to work. Ride's got to work every single time because it's Disneyland. You understand? So understand this whole idea of it got to be creative. No, you don't have to be creative. You have to be consistent. And so how then do you instill the spirit of innovation, which is creativity in action, innovation, so that you're continually working on it continuously? Well, there's a system for that. I call that system the 5 essential skills. You have to orchestrate these 5 essential skills into your life and into your activity. The first is concentration. The second is concentration, consistency. The third is organization. The fourth is innovation. And the fifth is communication. So concentration, discrimination, organization, innovation, communication, the 5 essential skills of life. So all of a sudden we have a system called, this is how you concentrate, this is how you discriminate, this is how you organize, this is how you innovate, and this is how you communicate. Start with step 1. This is how you concentrate. Step 2, this is how you discriminate. Step 3, step 4, you follow me.
Yeah.
Everything's a system.
Don't skip the steps.
Don't skip the steps. Everything is a system. I think I just heard you say that.
Everything's a system.
Yeah, it's so true. Now, when you were starting out, did you, and maybe it's evolved and maybe it hasn't, because like habits stick with people for a very long time. When you were working on the business, were you picking a day of the week? Were you like maybe now it has evolved where it's all 80% of your time is you're working on businesses. But when you were starting out, like when you were 40 years old, got into business, was it like a Friday morning, 9 to 12, shut everything down, lock yourself in a room, and that's where you focused on working on your business?
Yeah, working on my business is something we did every day.
Got it.
You understand, every day we had to do business, but at the same time, we had to create a business to do. So effectively, the very first thing we needed to come to agreement about, Tom and I, what's our dream, what's our vision, what's our purpose, what's our mission? Because that's going to create the foundation for everything. So my dream was to transform the state of small business worldwide. I would continue to say, transform the state of small business worldwide. Let me tell you a story. 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 What's the story? It's the same damn story I just told you yesterday. Why is it the same damn story? Because it's the truth. In other words, I can make up a new story, but if it ain't the truth, what's the point? So the whole measure of this is that we're seeking the truth. Only the truth, nothing but the truth. So help us God. This is the truth. Born in the image of God, born to create a world fit for God. Born in the image of God, born to create a world fit for God. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm saying that's you, that's me, that's her, that's we, that's everybody single. If that's true, you understand? If that's true, if we believe in God, if we say there is a God, that God created all of this, then effectively God is the creator. And so each and every one of us are emulating, born in the image of God, the grand creator. Our job is to create a world fit for God.
Do you think everyone has a purpose, Michael?
No.
Okay.
No, I think everybody can have a purpose, just like everybody can have a dream, just like everybody can have a vision and can have a mission. But you have to go to work on it in order to discover what that is. That's what we do in year one of Radical You. So you join us in Radical You, and we're in this conversation. What's your dream? What's your dream? What's your dream? What's your dream? Well, how do I do that? How do I do that? This is how you do that. This is how you do that. This is how you do that. This is how you do it. Now you do it. Now you do it. Now you do it. Now you. Holy shit.
Repetition, repetition, repetition.
Now,
Discovery. Yep.
We've had some very meaningful, serious conversation here today. I want to take it a bit more lighthearted for a moment. I love personal branding and imagery. Please explain to us, Michael, and perhaps it's just a system for you. What's the deal with the hat?
Well, that's a long story. It's a very, very long. It's a very, very long story. But understand that at one point in my life, I began to work with Chabad, and you can write that down: CHABAD. It's an Orthodox sect of Judaism.
Okay.
And I was called on the phone by a rabbi of Chabad in Irvine, California. And he said that he and a number of his other rabbis were reading my book, the EMyth Revisited. And they wondered if I'd come up and meet with them to talk about how they could apply it to their Chabad house. And I said, well, that's a wonderful invitation, but why me? And they said, well, because you're a Jew. I said, yeah, but I'm Jew, but I'm not a practicing Jew. He said, it doesn't matter. You're a Jew, you're a Jew, you're a Jew, you're a Jew. It doesn't matter if you're a practicing Jew or not. Just come up and let's talk. So long story short, I did go up and talk, and I met them, and I was just blown away by the story underlying Chabad. I'm not going to share with you here. They gave me a book to read about the beginning of Chabad and how it's gone from where it was to where it is. And there are 4,000 Chabad houses worldwide, but they're dysfunctional, meaning they're not organized well. They're just small businesses, every single one of them doing it. You understand? So that's what appealed to them about the EMyth. So I, being a non-Orthodox Jew, if you look at Chabad Hasidic Jews, they wear a black hat and a black suit and white shirt and so forth and so forth, long beard. So when I went to meet the guys, I would put on my yarmulke. And then when I left, I'd take it off. But one day I'm leaving my meeting with the rabbi, and I say to myself, what would happen if I left it on? The yarmulke.
Yeah.
And I did. So every day I would get up, I would go into work, and now I'm wearing a yarmulke. I go out and speak, I'm wearing a yarmulke. I get in the elevator, I'm wearing a yarmulke. Somebody in the elevator calls me rabbi. I'm not a rabbi. One day I'm driving close to my home in San Marcos, past the university. And I didn't notice this, but a car pulls up behind me and another car very close to the right of me, and a car in front begins to slow down. And then the guys in the car began to call me a dirty Jew, a kike, and all manner and forms of names. Mm-hmm. I was shocked. Now understand, I am a Jew, but I'd never experienced. I was born in 1936. I was born in the Holocaust. I never personally experienced anti-Semitism. Never, in all those years. And now I did. I took off my yarmulke. And I told my rabbi the story, and he just laughed. He just laughed. He said, Gerber, welcome to the family.
You're one of us.
You're one of us. Now you know. So weeks went by, months went by. And my wife and I are on the East Coast, walking in the boardwalk, and there's a store, a Panama Hat store. And I went in and I bought the hat and I put it on, and I've been wearing a Panama hat ever since. So
How long was that?
Not what I expected the story to be when I asked. Oh my goodness. I said let's make it lighthearted. My goodness.
This is my yarmulke. What can I tell you? I'm a hidden Jew. This is my yarmulke. Now I've told everybody the story. Now you can understand. So the hat is in honor of God. Cover your head.
Yeah.
You get my point.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
love
where
that.
the hat
Keep
came
that
from.
with you every day. It's a good reminder.
Now, Michael, we want to be very respectful of your time. We always ask our guests to leave our viewers and listeners with one tip, one strategy. I mean, you dropped so much knowledge and so much truth today. Can you leave us, please, with our viewers, with one tip, one strategy?
Let me give you one very simple statement. A blank piece of paper and beginner's mind. A blank piece of paper and beginner's mind. And that's how you awaken the entrepreneur within. That's how you awaken the creator within. You start with a blank piece of paper and you begin it. And in the process of doing that, everything happens. So I would then also recommend that they read my very first, well, it's not my very first, but it's the most It's the largest book. EMyth Revisited, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. I would then suggest that you read Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. And then I would suggest that you read Beyond the EMyth, The Evolution of an Enterprise from a Company of One to a Company of 1,000. And begin to take in the process that's absolutely key to transforming the state of your life, of your world, of every single thing you do and the way that you do it. It'll blow your mind.
Simple but sweet, and it looks like I have my reading credit for me.
You do. That first book that you picked up, as I mentioned earlier, not sure if it was on here or off here, but to the viewers and listeners, for me personally, someone that doesn't have like a college diploma or degree, I was really given a lot of business books and personal development books, but that was the first business book I was ever handed, and it just gave me confidence to the first time I came across a book like that where somebody was teaching you kind of the tricks and traits of business. And so thank you for that, Michael, just putting it out there. And I mean, I'm sure you've heard this millions upon millions of times, but thank you, because you helped a 22-year-old kid at that time just even have the confidence that I could do this because I read your book. And so thank you. As Laura mentioned, I still quote your book all the time because it really is very, very timeless. And so congratulations on all the success.
Thank you, guys. Love it.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
This has been the REC Experience Podcast with Jazz Takhar, an REC Canada production.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Please take a second right now to subscribe and follow us on whatever podcast platform you're watching or listening. It means the world to me. Thank you.